The best of the morning X99X.
So where do you want to eat?
Feels like an Arby's night.
Arby's, beef and cheese and... Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Oh, so you're pretty religious.
That's right.
So is it a problem that I'm not really religious?
Not for me.
Why not?
I'm not the one going to hell.
Always one of my favorite characters on Seinfeld, Puddy, of course, Patrick Warburton. Hey, Patrick.
And also there is still the hurricane warnings in the Stone Mountain area. Kidding.
Sounds like you've been here.
I have. My sister and brother-in-law and their lovely family live in the Snellville.
Ooh.
Snellville, when was the last time you were here visiting?
I don't know, a year ago.
The metropolis of Snellville.
Yes.
Are they Warburtons?
No, they're Vosses. And Paul is a professor of Shakespearean literature at the university.
Which university? At Georgia?
It's the one downtown by the Coke factory.
Georgia Tech?
I guess
Georgia
that would...
State, Georgia Tech,
Yeah,
okay.
one of those.
Yeah.
Is Warburton a stage name?
No, that's my given name.
So do people... You know, we've had a lot of actors and stuff who have played very distinct characters on, and, you know, they always talk about how it's like some people cannot separate TV from reality.
Of course.
Especially with a character like Puddy.
And people, people always think you're that character. Do you meet people who think you're dumb?
I do meet folks who, and usually when they think I'm dumb, it's just because we had a rotten conversation.
Right.
You got to give yourself, when you work on a show as high profile as Seinfeld and do a character as definitive as Puddy, then it's going to take some time to, Michael Richards, who is absolutely nothing like Kramer,
right.
It's almost uncomfortable watching people go up to him afterwards, because they would try to bounce a kind of energy off of him that they would just assume he would bounce back.
Right.
That he'd be in character, and he's quiet and reserved for the most part.
Was it sad to you when that party ended, or were you ready to move on?
Well, it was a great place to be, and it was the greatest opportunity of my life and the business so far. But it's good to move on, only because my capacity to do stuff on the show is somewhat limited.
Right. But still one of the more known characters. I mean, everyone loved Puddy.
Well, thank you very much. I sure had fun.
How did the Puddy character look on paper when it was first presented to you? Did you invent that character? I mean, obviously you came in to read for it, but how was it described to you before you read for it?
Well, it was, Puddy really wasn't really an involved character when he was just there to serve a purpose in the first episode, and it was during the 6th season, and I went in to read for Jerry and the producers of the show. This guy was just supposed to be Jerry's mechanic who stole Jerry's move. Jerry told him about this sex move. Now the mechanic's going out with Elaine. He's using it on Elaine. So they had, in the office that was reading, there were a lot of, your Tonys and your Vinnies,
Right.
These guys. I'm looking at them. I'm thinking, well, if they want more of what would be, I guess, a stereotypical New York City mechanic,
right?
This is what they're going to get. They're going to get that over here. So I just, had some fun and did some kind of quirky with it. And Jerry really kind of took to it. So 2 weeks later, that's when we did the Face Painter episode. They just wrote that up and said, do you want to do this? And I was like, wow, this is great. And then things are certainly working out here. And I always wanted to do that show.
Yeah, well, who didn't? So the line reading, the delivery, that was your invention, that you threw that at him. They didn't tell you, all right, he's really stiff. He's really...
No.
We're talking to Patrick Warburton. Were you, right after Seinfeld, were you offered like a regular sitcom?
Yeah, the Puddy Show.
Or just,
Or a deal saying, hey, we're shutting down Seinfeld, but we have these ideas for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't always work out. And actually NBC did want a deal, and so I signed on to a development deal with NBC, and we didn't sit down and develop anything. The network came to me with this idea of me doing a show called Blind Men, which is a pilot about guys that sell Venetian blinds. So that was the best that they could come up with, and it didn't fly, and that was just a mistake to do. But so I spent like the last 2 years focusing. I'm going to be doing the The Tick.
The Tick is happening, and
That's happening. That's going to be a lot of fun. But for the last 2 years, I've been for the most part just working on independent films.
You've also done a lot of voice work.
I really haven't in the past, but I've done a lot of it in the last.
Yeah, I mean those American Express commercials. You were Superman, right?
Right, and I just did 65 episodes of Star Command: The Adventures of Buzz Lightyear for Disney.
Oh, perfect.
A lot of fun. So I did the voice of Buzz and that, and I did The Emperor's New Groove, which is Disney's animated feature that's going to get released this Christmas.
So you're still very busy, and The Woman Chaser is coming out.
Yeah, describe your character.
Richard Hudson's a used car salesman who has nothing like Puddy the sob salesman. And he has a breakdown of sorts.
When does The Woman Chasing come in there, Big Daddy?
Well, originally the novel was entitled Director, but during the time back then, it sold a lot. They'd sell a lot more books that they'd slap on a cover with some girl taking her sweater off and called The Woman Chaser. There's a little bit of woman chasing going on, but that more of a sideline.
Now, how many total episodes of Seinfeld did you do?
9 regular season episodes.
9 regular season, and then what? And
then 10, including the final episode.
What did you think? And now it's past us now, and everybody it's over. What was your opinion on a scale of 1 to 10 of the final Seinfeld episode?
Personally, well, you want 1 to 10? I don't know, maybe a 7. I didn't think it was clever. But basically they turned it into. We've had the clip show before the final episode,
right?
Which was a lot of fun.
That was great.
So why make the final episode essentially a mock-up clip show where they're just bringing everybody back? And it just wasn't. I just didn't think it was terribly clever.
Right. That clip show upstaged the final episode big time.
Well,
it was...
and also it's hard to do a wrap-up show. It's hard to end something that really doesn't have a natural end. It's like at the time we were talking about the final episode of MASH. Okay, the war ends, so there's a finality, but Seinfeld's just 4 or 5 people. There's no real ending to it. It's tough to try to create an ending to 4 people's lives. They go to jail. Big deal.
Thanks, Patrick.
Well, thank you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Lane, have you noticed your boyfriend has developed an annoying little habit?
The squinting?
No.
The staring?
No. He keeps asking me to give him a high five.
I thought all guys do that.
Slapping hands is the lowest form of male primate ritual. In fact, even some of them have moved on. They're doing sign language now.
It's that bad?
What do you think the Nazis were doing? That was the Heil Five.
Isn't that from your act 10 years ago?
It was a good bit in the 80s, and it's still relatable today.
Good news, we got a 900 in black. That's the hot color. High five.
The best of the Morning X. 99X.
Bravo TV star Lala Kent holds nothing back on the Give Them Lala podcast.
No, I have a very short fuse.
Get to know the TV personality.
I don't need to watch the show because I get the real life version.
From relationships and motherhood.
Let me tell you something about breastfeeding.
To business and beyond.
You are scared of failure, so it prevents you from trying. This is where we implement a big set of ovaries, and then we obsess.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.